Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of All in Society. This is the YouTube version of my podcast. So, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you've seen my previous videos for the movie reviews, well, guess what? I have more reviews for you for Renaissance, a Beyonce film, and Wish. I just recently saw the movie, so they're fresh in my mind, and I'm gonna let you guys know if you need to go see it in theater or just wait, push the brakes, stream it, wait for it to come out on your favorite streaming platform. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we dive into the movies, I wanted to touch base on a couple things. First of all, if this is your first episode of All in Society, let me clarify a couple things. As I mentioned, this is the YouTube version of my podcast. If you enjoy podcasts, definitely check out on your favorite podcast network, All in Society with Claude Winston. That's me. Search for it, follow the show, download all the episodes. I guarantee there's some value in there as far as investing, crypto. I'm a big fan of poker. I'm a poker player, and I've also worked in the casino industry pretty much my entire adult life. So I love the game of poker, and I love talking about growing the game of poker as well. If you're new to the game or just want to understand the game, I'm the guy that you definitely want to follow, stay in touch with. If you want to really dive into the game and really get nerd out on it in all the math and everything about poker, there's plenty of other guys out there that can steer you. I can help steer you in the right direction. But if you just want to talk about poker in a more laid back, more consumable fashion, you're in the right place. And if you just love sports in general and knowing exactly what's going on in the world and how you could take advantage of that and maybe invest in the stock market or invest in crypto or just make money, knowing a little bit from some of the individuals I'll have on my podcast and my live show on YouTube, which we'll touch base on in a second, you're definitely in the right place. Make sure you tap in. Make sure, as I said, you follow the podcast, you download the podcasts, and also tap in with me on YouTube. If you already found me, great. Please make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification so you're familiar and aware anytime I release any new content. But the podcast is going to release every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I give you a new podcast episode. Monday and Wednesday, it's released at 8 p.m. Eastern. And on Fridays, I give it to you early at 5 p.m. Eastern. The videos version of the podcast should correlate the same day. I should be able to release those and upload them to YouTube that same night. And on Tuesday, what I'm most proud of, guys, it's my live show, All in Society and Friends. It's myself and other friends, past colleagues that I've worked with. Now I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I started my own business. I'm a business owner. So I miss those relationships with some of those people in the industries I used to work with. So I bring them in and we'll talk about certain topics, such as real estate. And I have a special guest that's going to discuss real estate tomorrow, December 5th. So you make sure you definitely want to tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern, All in Society and Friends. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. The show should be live. If it's not live, I'll have pre-recorded episodes for you when I'm traveling to different events and seeing family and whatnot. All right, we got that out of the way, but there's one more thing. Patreon. How many of you are familiar with Patreon? If you're not, essentially think of Facebook, but has a paid wall in front of it. So every Facebook page, say if you wanted to follow your friend's Facebook page, maybe they have a paywall in front of it and you have to pay X amount of money in order to see exclusive content. So for Patreon, that's exactly what I'll be doing for All in Society. A lot of the interviews, there's great value in there. I'm going to take a lot of the best parts of the interviews, and there's going to be exclusive interviews that you can only access if you're part of my Patreon. I'll also be providing value, showing you exactly how I navigate the stock market. And now you might be questioning, or like, why would I follow you? Why would I pay money to follow you? Well, I'll ask you this. I want you to go find somebody who is managing over $20,000 in assets And a lot of times it's not someone that we're familiar with, because a lot of times we have someone else manage our real estate, or excuse me, not our real estate, but our 401ks and our retirement portfolios. But I challenge you to find somebody that's managing over $20,000 in assets, and they are beating the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is pretty much a benchmark where all the big money managers, that's what they're comparing how they perform to the S&P 500, that market. So currently, as of yesterday, the S&P 500 was right around 21%, up around 21% this year. My personal portfolio was up 28% plus. And this isn't any I got lucky, get rich quick schemes. No, I started small and I grew my portfolio. I created a diverse portfolio, not just in your technology companies where, that's probably what you hear in the news nowadays. Apple, Microsoft, AI is the crave, has really pushed those technology companies forward. But I've really spread out my investments, and I've found really great companies that are maybe being distressed, that are battling a little bit of negative news. I identify those companies. I buy those companies. I hold them long term. And right now, I do not have, well, I lied. I have one stock in my portfolio that's technically losing money, but it's less than 5% of my portfolio. So, very insignificant amount. I believe I have 13 individual companies I'm invested in. 12 out of the 13 are making money. So, if you want to know exactly how I'm doing that, I live, eat, breathe the stock market, watching news, watching many investors, many platforms that talk about financial literacy, about the stock market in general, about investing as a general. I do nothing but consume this information on a daily basis while building and growing my business. So if you want to tap in with other individuals just like myself, that Patreon is going to be $50 per month. You can cancel anytime, but I'd hope you join the Patreon, and really we grow together. And like I said, this is a diverse and inclusive community. Anybody and everybody, athletes, actors, actresses, those in the health field, in the entertainment field, in the real estate field, investors, anybody and everybody. I want us all to come together. We can start businesses together. We can network, and we can discuss how each person is navigating their current field and maybe how we can help them. Let's come together. Let's get together. Instead of working separately, we are stronger and a cohesive group together. There's a lot of you that have disposable income that's just sitting in a bank in a savings account, and you're losing money on a daily basis. So come here with us. We'll teach you how to put that disposable income to work and make passive income. So come on in. That'll be starting soon. Please, if you want more information on the Patreon, you can check out my brand new website that I've updated, www.allinsociety.com. That's www.allinsociety.com. All right, thank you for allowing me to run through that for you guys. I appreciate your patience. Now, let's get down to what we were all here for. Let's discuss the movie reviews. First, we'll discuss Renaissance, a film by BEYONCE. So I'm going to compare, when I sat down at the theater, I couldn't help but compare this film to Taylor Swift's. And full disclosure, if you haven't seen the last review, definitely check out that review. I did, 2 reviews ago. Last review was Godzilla and Napoleon. But the review before that, I did a review for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. I was blown away by the movie. I didn't attend the concert. I just attended the movie. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan going in. I didn't know a lot of her songs. At least I didn't think I did. But as I sat through that movie and just watched how great of a performer she is, her stage presence, just the visuals and everything, the choreography, she did a wonderful job. But I don't think she's quite on the level as entertainer as Beyonce. And you can really, and that's nothing against Taylor Swift. She did an awesome job. But compared to Beyonce, as far as the choreography and just exactly what effort and everything she's put together on that stage, I think Beyonce is much better entertainer than Taylor Swift. Like I said, there's nothing taken away from Taylor Swift. She did an excellent job in her own right. But compared to Taylor Swift to Beyonce, I think it's kind of night and day who was the better performer. Where Warren's even more seasoned, has been doing this a lot longer. Um, but I just want to make sure I gave Beyonce her flowers and really kind of set it apart. I enjoyed both. To be quite honest, I think if you were right, you went to the movie to see just the concert itself, then Taylor Swift did an excellent job. But if you really wanted to go to the movies and you really want to get the full experience of what it took for Beyonce to put on a show to this level, to this magnitude, she really this was a movie for a tribute for her fans, and really you got to see behind the scenes look exactly what it takes in order to put a show together like this. And so I really like how Beyonce brought us into her world, inside her head, and brought us in with her to her family. That that's something that Taylor Swift did not do, and I really think that's really set it apart between this film and Taylor Swift film. But both were excellent in their own right, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into The Renaissance, a film by Beyonce. So it's not rated. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 48 minutes. So if you have small children, just be mindful. You're gonna be there for a while. Maybe bring snacks and things to keep them entertained. But the movie it moves pretty quickly. There's a lot of transitions, and it's very smooth, fluid, and they do an excellent job. You're not just kind of like falling asleep or kind of like, come on, get back to the concert. For I went to go see it in IMAX, and it was $28 per ticket. Compared to Taylor's, I believe she charged 1989. Um, Same price of her. If I get this wrong, guys, please don't butcher me. If you guys are Taylor Swift fans or Swifties, I believe it's the same year the title of her one of her albums. So she made it the same price. So significantly cheaper to go see Taylor Swift. Um, and I'm pretty sure the box office doesn't even compare what Taylor Swift did compared to Beyonce. But Beyonce released this film in a weekend that's usually pretty down in the box office after Thanksgiving, and she's had an excellent box office so far with that in mind. So she's done an excellent job. But compared to what Taylor Swift did opening weekend, it doesn't. It's not even comparison. Like I said, Beyonce is 100% one of the greatest entertainers of our lifetime. Um, liken her to somebody like Michael Jackson. And I imagine she probably took inspiration from Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and others that she watched growing up and paved the way for her. So it's awesome to see her take it to another level and really push it, raise the level for the next Beyonce, whoever that may be. I think somebody who might be the next kind of Beyonce is her. If you're not familiar with her, she plays guitar and other instruments, so I think that'll be awesome to see her perform on stage. As far as choreography, I don't think that she can like dance and get down like Beyonce does, but her is a great artist, a great performer, a great entertainer in her own right. So I'll be looking forward to see how um, her career blossoms and how she performs on a live stage. I've seen her once live, but the situation I didn't really get to enjoy it. But we won't discuss that any further. But um, let's touch a little bit more on this film. It was a concert and tribute to her fans, like I said. And those of us that did not get a chance to attend the show live will definitely walk away from this show appreciating what type of event that she did put on at that concert. And we hope in the future she does this again. And maybe those of us that didn't get an opportunity to go see her live will have an opportunity then. The film jumps back and forth from clips for her many performances to the behind the scenes footage. Like I mentioned, she really shout out the crew and put emphasis on what it takes to put on a show, to set up everything in order for the show to go. So that was really cool to see. The audio and visuals were absolutely amazing. My favorite part of the performance or her concert was the introduction. Now I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that didn't see the concert or the film yet. So you just got to go see it for yourself. But the way that she came out and the intro to her show was absolutely amazing. It gave me chills kind of watching it. It was like, like she took some time to really figure out how she was going to go about this, and she did not disappoint. Anybody that had watched this movie or that went to the concert, they walked away with like, that was absolutely awesome, better than what I expected. So that's awesome. So needless to say, this is absolutely a stream it. Definitely go to the movies and see this in in the theaters with other Beyonce fans. That really highlights the experience. You might have people in there dancing. I know when I saw Taylor Swift, there was a bunch of little kids in there really singing and dancing. But this is more of a adult film, and so maybe not so much as that. But there are still people rocking, snapping their fingers, having a good time in the theater. Wish. Now, Wish was rated PG. Runtime 1 hour and 35 minutes. I struggled to stay awake in this film. And it really hurt my feelings because now the movie looked great in 3D, but the story and the characters just like didn't engage me. The main character, the young girl, she was awesome. The songs, nothing to remember. Just the plot of the whole movie itself. It just was kind of lackluster. I will talk about a little bit of history in the company. So, Bob Iger is the current CEO, and he's been the CEO for quite some time. He actually recently came back because he left. He was really right during the pandemic or right before the pandemic got really dicey. And his successor really made some changes to the creative, like the kind of like the film, uh, for lack of better words, film sector of the company. He really stripped some of the power from some of those creative individuals, executives. And by doing so, I think they really made some bad decisions with some of the movies that they decided to put out. With Marvel, they really made a lot of these shows on, like such as Loki, um, Miss Marvel. What's the other one? WandaVision. A lot of these shows, which WandaVision was good. Loki was very hard to follow. Um, there was a Captain America one as well on Disney Plus. So a lot of these shows that were on the streaming were kind of just like lackluster, and with that lack of like build up from the Disney Plus shows to the movies, the movies they've been releasing, such as Doctor Strange. I thought that was going to be a lot better, as much as well as the Ant-Man and Quantumania. That movie was very disappointing. I thought it was going to be a lot better than what it was. But when you really sit back and think about it, Disney had an amazing run. Uh, with the End of Game and Civil War, all those movies were absolutely excellent. And it's because they had the best characters, the best stories, the best villains. So now Disney and Marvel's kind of in a lull right now, trying to lead us up to the next Omega villain, Omega character, right? And so it's going to take some time for them to build up the story and really get to where they want us to go. And if you saw the Marvels, I enjoyed the Marvels, to be honest. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that movie. I laughed throughout the movie. Maybe it's because I watched Miss Marvel and her character on Disney Plus, and so I really knew what to expect going forward. If you didn't watch her and you just saw her on the big screen, you probably thought she was kind of corny. It's like, who is this little kid? Like, why are they dulling this down? Because Endgame and like Civil War and those other movies were really dark, right? And kind of very adult and serious. Well, now we're getting back to more kids and more family oriented. They want to spotlight the women in the Marvel franchise. And a lot of people are looking at that and kind of saying they're kind of pushing that in our face a little bit too much. I, to be quite honest, I kind of agree. But like I said, I enjoyed the Marvels. But with Wish, you can kind of see that the past CEO, Bob Chapek, was his name. You can kind of see under his tutelage, the movies have really gone south. The company itself, streaming, went on a downward spiral. So Bob Iger came back from retirement, took over. They pushed Bob Chapek out. Bob Iger has really turned the company upside down, invested in the parks, put a lot of money towards the parks to expand that and create new things as far as the parks business. They've launched ESPN Bet. They separated the ESPN portion of their business to its own portion, for lack of a better word, its own. I'll just keep saying sectors because it's not coming to mind right now. I apologize for you, but its own kind of sector, own department. And so, yeah, Disney's really going through some changes, and I think it's going to take some time before we really see some movies that are really, touch our hearts. But if you've seen the last, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, the end credits for the Marvels, the last Marvel movie, you can kind of see where the Marvel franchise is going and what characters they're going to introduce into the Marvel universe. And so I can kind of see that there's a lot to look forward to. I'll just leave it at that. Um, but like I said, for this movie is a complete disappointment. I saw it in 3D. As I mentioned, even with the 3D, it was cool and everything, but even that didn't. I can't tell you guys to go see this movie in theaters. Even as a Disney investor, I would say wait to stream it at home. Don't make your kids sit through a. They might enjoy it. Some of the kids were laughing and cackling and slapping, slapping their knees and stuff in some of the moments in the film. But as far as some of us adults, but maybe have higher expectations, it wasn't Disney's best film by far. So definitely can stream it. Bonus, I saw Silent Night. If you're not familiar with this film, it's an action film. Let me get some of the information for you guys. So Silent Night was rated R, runtime 1 hour and 44 minutes. Some of the actors in the film, the main actor was Joel Kinnaman. Kid Cudi was also in this film. And Joel's love interest or his wife was Catalina Sandino. So it's an action film directed by John Woo. And to be quite honest with you, it's I kind of wanted to before I sat down. I really was expecting a movie like Taken. It will really kind of like you get into the characters. The action scenes are pretty cool. You like seeing Liam Neeson really beat up the bad guys. But this film was just all right. Um, I'm going to say leave it to. It's going to be a stream it. It's not necessarily a movie that you want to go see in theaters or you have to go see in theaters. Save your money. Nothing special about this film. It's like, oh man, I never seen that before. It was a typical John. Would say the director was John Woo. Yeah, a typical John Woo film, but nothing that was um, like never before seen. To be quite honest with you, I was kind of waiting for the movie to end. You kind of know where the movie's going to go, but it's also fun to see that what someone dealing with what the character dealt with, for them to get a little bit of revenge, you kind of you look forward to seeing that happen. All right, let's dive into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. So August 21st, I released a podcast episode, and I mentioned that Bitcoin had dropped to 26,000 and how I thought that it was a great opportunity to start creating a position, dollar cost averaging. Because with Bitcoin having coming up in 2024, April, March, or May 2024, and the potential of a approval of a Bitcoin ETF, there's a lot of reasons for the price of Bitcoin to skyrocket, and it's exactly what it's pretty much done. Currently, I'm gonna look exactly and tell you what, guys, where it is right now. Bitcoin sitting at 41,890. Like I said, August 21st was at 26,000. It's at just under 42,000 right now. Almost doubled in price. So hopefully you guys listened to the episode. If you did your research, I'm glad that because you're probably in position, making a few extra dollars. That's always great, right? I made a prediction in past episodes that I think Bitcoin is going to go well over 100K next year. So definitely tap in. Like I mentioned, the Patreon, if you want to know exactly why I think Bitcoin is going to go to that price and why I'm so confident about it, you want to join the Patreon page. If you want to get some of those exclusive clips of the interviews that I have coming up, definitely join the Patreon page. And if you just want to stay on tap, up to date with people that are go-getters, like-minded individuals like yourself that might have disposable income on the side ready to put it to work. Or maybe you're just somebody who says enough is enough. I'm going to start budgeting. I'm going to cut back a lot of the money, a lot of the expenses that I have that are needs more necessarily than wants, and I'm going to use that money and I'm going to put it to work and start investing. You don't have to have a bunch of disposable money. You can start with $500. You can start with $200. Start with $100. Start anywhere. Start today. Because just relying on our 401ks or our retirement for us to have financial wealth or generational wealth, it's very difficult. We can already see the housing. It's extremely difficult to own a home nowadays. It costs so much with the interest rates, and the value of homes have gone up significantly. So I think the only way for us to really get ahead, if you're working for someone else, that's great, but we have to find ways to invest. And so that's what really the show is all about. Invest, 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 invest. Network, research, educate yourself, and align yourself with like-minded individuals. There's so many of us that are prisoners of social media or whatever, or television that is not really serving us any value. It's just a bunch of nonsense that's polluting our minds. I challenge you to read multiple books next year that's going to elevate your knowledge and have you grow as a person. Maybe it's not necessarily investing, but growing and being a better person. Maybe that means going to church, and that's really what I've been doing. I've been joining a church, a local church, and not just joining the church just to go every Sunday. I want to join the church and be involved in the church and help others. And hopefully, in doing so, I can expand my reach, not just as a good Christian, as a good person, but maybe in turn that means my business and my life will just be more fruitful and be more rewarding by doing so. So I'm a man of faith. I don't want to touch on that too much because I know everybody believes in what they want to believe, and I'm not trying to tell you to believe one thing and other. But if you find yourself, walking away from whatever you believe, whatever your faith is, maybe now is the time to kind of reconnect and get back to, being be a better man, be a better woman, be a better Christian, whatever the case may be. I always like to think the month of December, even though we should be thinking about this a couple months ago, getting yourself set up for next year. How am I going to improve next year? My motto is always, you want to be better. Number one, you want to wake up and you be a little bit better than you were yesterday. But each year, we want to level up and be a little bit better than we were last year. Life is not guaranteed. Life is so short. So wake up, live every day like it's your last. Don't take any day for granted. And if there's anything that's in your life that's not serving you, today I challenge you to eliminate. get it if it's a individual, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're in a toxic environment. Maybe the job you're at is toxic. Maybe it's time to start looking for another job, looking for another career. So tap in with me. I'm here. I'm available for you guys. I'm a listening ear. I love meeting new people, hearing their stories, their trials and tribulations. And if I can provide any value or help them along the way, that's what I'm here for. And to round it out, guys, remember, life is one big session. Play the cards you're dealt to the best of your ability, and I promise you'll come out ahead. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you Tuesday live in the chat for All in Society and Friends. Peace. Go Lions!